no matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Listen, you can't handle the truth.
It's about to go off. Live from the WNSR Strike and Spare Studios.
Just a bit outside.
It's the McFarland Show with Darren McFarland and Fox 17's Justin McFarland.
Show me the money!
Call now at 615-844-5600.
Oh, righty then.
Now, the McFarland Show with Darren and Justin.
And a good Tuesday afternoon to you. And yes, it is time for the McFarland Show here on Nashville Sports Radio. Darren and Justin here with you. And we are live yet again, another Tuesday at First Horizon Park. Vanderbilt will be taking on Lipscomb. Mm-hmm. Last Tuesday it was Belmont.
That's right.
In the Doors victory. And tonight it'll be the Bison from Lipscomb.
The thing I'm most curious about, Darren, is if the Bison will be coming out and using a football to warm up the same way the Bruins did last week.
They did.
I will be watching for that carefully, as that was the most interesting thing I've seen in a long time. A bunch of baseball players warming up with football in the outfield.
And believe it or not, Justin, it's actually warmer than it was last Tuesday.
It is warmer.
When I came in the front door, I was like, it's kind of balmy outside compared to a week ago when we were here. Mm-hmm. Not that we're dealing with the elements because we've shut the windows. We're in the press box.
We have.
The field looks amazing. It's ready for a little college baseball tonight. So if you want to come out and catch Vanderbilt Lipscomb, this is the place to do it. First pitch will be at 6 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear all the action right here on WNSR. Taylor Fisher is the vice president of ticket sales for the Nashville Sound. Speaking of, this is their park. This is their beautiful park. Vice
President of Ticket Sales and Service. Don't cut that man short on his title.
I am
He's
sorry.
sitting right here with us, and we're in his house.
He is, and we are 10 days away, Taylor, from the start of your season that will begin right here at home, and I hope that the weather is warmer by then. By the way, Thursday is supposed to be 80 degrees. So hopefully this stuff is coming in to stay. But you guys are going to kick off your home schedule against the Bats from Louisville here. Just a 3-game set, which I kind of dig the whole 6-game series.
Yeah, that's been interesting.
I know. Mm-hmm. I think it's an idea that has turned out to – that was probably because of COVID, right? And it's one that's stuck. I like the fact the next homestand is a 6-game homestand against Norfolk, right?
Yeah, it's for people who work in minor league baseball, the schedule setup change has been phenomenal. You're home Tuesday to Sunday. Monday's a day off, and then you're generally on the road for another 6 and same setup, and it basically alternates the whole year. We have one 12-game homestand mid to end June, so we'll charge through the 12 games in 13 days, but having just 6 in a row against one opponent logistically helps a ton on travel and all that as well, instead of playing like 3 against one opponent, 4 against another, and all that. But it's a great structure, and then the 3-game homestand to start the season is great because there's a lot of rust that comes from having 6 months of an off season. So we use you mentioned Vanderbilt's playing here tonight. The 2 Vanderbilt games we host, they shake a lot of rust off for game day staff and front office staff and everything, and we use that for a lot of training. And then, as you mentioned, 10 days, we have opening day on the 31st, and we have a 3-game homestand, which is nice to shake off any maybe leftover rust from the other 2 games. And we're excited for another 75 home games this year.
Yeah, this area, Taylor, has just been so stagnant. It's really not changed much at all. Actually, if you go away for a week and come back, I think there may be something new happening. I brought this up last Tuesday. Mm-hmm. It's from third and home to the stockyards it just keeps going. In fact, I knew the first years that this park opened, people that lived, used to work with it at another radio station in condos that faced the outfield, those are gone. And now we've got this big giant structure that they're building, and we learned it's what was it last week? We learned
I forget the
a
ballpark
ball yards.
The ball yard or whatever. This
Great question.
So you don't even know. So see, that's how crazy.
I don't know the official title, but it does look like at least a whole new level was added to the structure since last week. So it's going up quickly. Yeah, Nashville's kind of still growing rapidly.
It's crazy, and so that the point of bringing all that up is you guys are constantly changing and evolving in here too, constantly adding new things. So what do you have up your sleeve that you can tell us for this season?
We have a lot up our sleeve. We are coming off a hugely successful 2022 season. We're very proud that we were named the 2022 Minor League Baseball Organization of the Year. So there's 120 minor league teams, and we were voted on. That's voted on by all the general managers and owners and all that. So that was something we've never, as an organization, we've never won in our 45-year history. So our staff is all extremely proud of that. But how do you replicate that? In 2023, we now have to be better than we were last year. And last year we shattered every record. We were recognized as the best organization. So now we have to go duplicate that and then some. So since my world is ticket sales, we have a lot of new stuff we're releasing and doing this year. I would say our biggest thing on the ticket plan side is we actually announced all-inclusive ticket plans for this season. So for the many people who are probably listening who have been to a Preds game in the Lexus Lounge, it's like a variation of that.
Hold on, Taylor. Tell us more.
Let's talk a little bit
interested. Yes, more. Tell us more.
So we're offering partial, half, and full season ticket plans. And so the tickets are in sections 208 to 210, which are right in front of the press box here. So they're fully padded seats. And then our gates open an hour before first pitch. So for a 6:35 game, the all-inclusive experience starts at 5:30. So it's a 2-hour experience. So from 5:30 to 7:30 in the Brower Club Lounge here, we're going to have a couple food stations set up that are only for all-inclusive folks, because we do have a lot of people with club level access. So this is a portion of the club level access who have all inclusive.
So this is the VIP of the VIP.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
The
So
Speaking my language.
Hey.
Anybody who knows me, the Lexus Lounge, we're tight.
I do
We're
love
tight.
the Lexus
Darren
Lounge.
is the bougie of the two.
So we're kind of working off that model on a little bit smaller scale. So it's for 2 hours. It's going to include a portion of the concession stand food will be included in the all-inclusive. Plus, we're going to have some 2 food stations that will have a more elevated menu for folks. So if you have all-inclusive, it's going to be a wristbanded area. So we know if you're all-inclusive, you'll be able to just walk up and grab the food or grab selected menu items off the concession stand. Includes all the fountain soda and all that at the concession stand, and that also includes canned domestic beer and seltzers as well from the bar for the 2 hours. And then at the end of the 2 hours, it just reverts back to you as an all-inclusive member, or just the back to the normal fan. If you want to buy drinks, additional food, whatever, by all means. But we figure during that 2 hours, that's when the bulk of the eating and drinking is happening. So it just works out.
So everything except for batting practice. You don't get to go out and take a couple of swings, right? That's not included.
Well, we do have season ticket member batting practice at some point later in the season, which we're about to announce. So you do get to take batting practice as a season ticket member. So we got all the perks for you, and then you get free parking, you get a discount in the pro shop, you get invited to all of our season ticket member events, which are pretty much monthly. But that's for all season ticket holders, not just all inclusive. But we're really excited about all inclusive specifically. It's doing really, really well. There's only so many seats that have the ability to be all inclusive, so it'd be great to get to a point where we're fully sold out of all that. But we're excited as to where it's trending so far.
Last year, about this time,
yeah,
I did batting practice.
Yes, you did.
Okay. How'd you
do? I
do?
was scared to death because it had been a long time since I did a machine, okay? And I got to be honest, I reverted back to my youth.
Yeah.
By the time it was over, I was like, I don't want to leave. It was so much fun.
It
Just
is
for like
a
20-minute window, Taylor, I felt like a kid again.
Yeah, we started that during COVID when we had different restrictions as to what we could or could not do. So we were doing private batting practices, and once we were able to do it, there was like a 2 or 3 month stretch where it was like fully sold out. We had people here all day, every day doing it, and it's just hysterical. People who think they're still in their prime.
Oh yeah,
not so much, but it's a great time. Like I think we working in baseball, like you kind of take for granted sometimes that this is our view every day. So it's just really cool to be able to afford people that opportunity as well.
Very cool.
We also had. Are you still doing? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it was something we'll never ever forget. It was another COVID thing that you guys came up with because unfortunately there was nothing going on here. So you decided to open it up and let teams practice, and we did a team practice here.
I was here for that.
Yeah, it's something. I mean, hopefully our kids will talk about and their families for the rest of their lives. I know I will. It was an unbelievable experience. We did one of our practices. They got the kids' names up on the Jumbotron. They got music going.
How special is that?
It was, Justin, I can't tell you. Like I said,
so cool.
It's something we'll never, ever forget for 90 minutes to almost 2 hours. It was the coolest thing ever. I know you brought it back, but is it still going, or did you have to phase it out?
We've done it a little bit, but with the beauty of being like all systems go now for quite some
hard.
time is we do have – so we have a director of special events, and her job is to fill the stadium on all the non-baseball days. So she's done a tremendous job of filling the ballpark with just everything from meetings to Brewfest to, I don't know, everything you can think of, trade shows, all that.
You guys did a whole Christmas
also.
extravaganza a few months ago here.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem. Now it's trying to fit something in.
Yes,
so which is a good problem to have.
Great problem to have. Yes, for sure.
Very cool, very cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this with us. And I know you guys are looking forward to another great season. I know I've been out here and done the first pitch. I know Darren has as well. I know you guys do the fireworks typically and the full
Who
thing.
sponsors the fireworks?
I don't know.
Is it sponsored still?
I think it might be.
Is it sponsored, Taylor?
I believe so, but you tell me.
It's Fox 17
Fox
fireworks.
17.
Yes, that's
the
fireworks.
fireworks.
We do. Yeah, okay. So we do the fireworks thing.
Okay.
But no, and that's always cool, and we enjoy coming out here and doing that and being a part of that, obviously. And it's always packed, or this past season was just bonkers when it came to attendance every night, 8, 9, 10,000 people. And the neighborhood continues to grow. So I know people are now walking, not so much driving to the games, and which I know is a sort of a new phenomenon for you guys. You don't have to worry about the parking as much. All the condos continue to develop, and the recovery since the storm.
Yeah.
And people are coming back.
That does help us having it kind of grow up so much around here because we don't control any of our parking, so it is nice when people can just stroll over. We do have a partnership with the state on the parking garage and all that, so that can help the vast majority of people. But it is nice when you can just stroll over to the ballpark, enjoy a beer and a hot dog, and watch some baseball or hang out in the bandbox or do whatever you want.
Well, Taylor, we usually start at third and home before the game, but may have to check out the VIP of VIPs.
Hey. Give the phone number here just so we can make it complete.
Do you want my phone number?
No, I don't. I don't. But the listeners may want the phone number here to call for the Sounds information here.
Well, so the general line is 615-690-HITS.
Okay.
And then when you call that, there is an option for tickets and group sales and all that. So if you're looking for groups or the all-inclusive experience, you can get to my team, and we'll take great care of you.
Thanks for having us out. We really enjoy it.
I appreciate you guys coming. I appreciate the pub.
Can we do this when it's warm sometime?
Absolutely.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I'd like to be here in shorts and a short sleeve shirt.
Outside, with a
maybe
breeze,
a baseball cap on.
Might be cool.
I think we can make that work.
Okay. Taylor, thanks for doing this. Thanks for having us out.
I appreciate it.
Taylor Fisher is the Vice President of Sales and Service here for the Nashville Sounds. We'll come back. Emma Lingen is up in Buffalo. It's not warm up there.
No, it's not.
That's where the Preds are tonight. We'll check in with her before they come back home. This will be the last game of this road trip, a little mini road trip. We'll talk with her next here on the McFarland Show, WNSR.
Like any good agent, we're here for the open house, for the closing, for handing over keys. But because we're realtors, we're here for so much more. Agents who are realtors volunteer at nearly 3 times the national average. We're working to broaden access to credit, increase affordable housing supply, and ensure fair housing for all. And realtors are bound by a code of ethics. we're here for it all. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
I'm Scott Trout, attorney and CEO of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. We help men deal with the life changes triggered by divorce, such as child custody and property division, among many others. But life changes also occur after divorce. These changes can make parts of your existing court order irrelevant. If you feel a modification to your court orders might be necessary, talk to us at Cordell & Cordell. We're a partner men can count on.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Nashville area attorneys. 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
Today on Hey Culligan, reverse to reduce. Here's Bob.
Hey Culligan, I love fresh water, but I got plastic bottles coming out.
Whoa, Bob, you are not kidding about the bottles. But did you know Culligan's reverse osmosis and always-on drinking water systems provide fresh, clean, delicious drinking water and help reduce the equivalent of over 15 billion plastic bottles from landfills worldwide?
Holy fresh, environmentally friendly drinking water. Am I right?
Right, Bob. And we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
They say they'll get your biggest tax refund. Jackson Hewitt says your biggest tax refund guaranteed, and a chance to double your tax refund. Thousands in weekly prizes during the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. Your biggest refund times 2, twice the money, so forget about them. File your taxes on the double at Jackson Hewitt today. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Promotion ends 4/2/23. Visit jacksonhewitt.com for rules.
Grizz Nation. Make some big Memphis noise and don't miss Darren, Desmond, and your Grizzlies Friday at 7 as they battle the Rockets for Grizzlies Scholars Night, presented by Ford and your Mid-South Ford dealers. Get hyped, get ready for a star-studded show, and secure your tickets by calling 901-888-HOOP or online at Grizzlies.com. From Middle Tennessee's home for the Memphis Grizzlies, Nashville Sports Radio.
Welcome to Smashville. Join us at Bridgestone Arena for 3 of the best remaining games of the season with the new Nashville Predators Captain's Pack, presented by Jockey. Purchase your 3-game Captain's Pack today at NashvillePredators.com/Captain's Pack to receive 25% off at Jockey.com. $10 in Nash cash for each game, a limited edition digital player card, the opportunity for 2023 Stanley Cup Playoff single game presale, and more. That's NashvillePredators.com/Captain's Pack. Let's go, Preds.
It's the afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and Bruno Reagan.
I'm not saying like Derrick Henry's going to be bad. I just don't think he's going to be able to tote the rock 330 times in a season. He did lose a half step. He was getting caught in that second level. And you saw the fumbling. If that's what their plan is, we're just going to go in again on Derrick Henry and figure this out. It just seems like the definition of insanity to me.
The afternoon stretch. Afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and Bruno Reagan.
Welcome back to the Strike and Spare Studios. You're listening to The McFarland Show with Darren McFarland and Fox 17's Justin McFarland.
Back here on the McFarland Show on this Tuesday afternoon. We're live here at First Horizon Park. It's Vanderbilt and Lipscomb tonight. First pitch will be at 6 o'clock. Darren and Justin here with you. Appreciate Taylor Fisher for stopping by, telling you about the sound season that will start in 10 days here at First Horizon Park against the Louisville Bats. Speaking of 6 o'clock tonight, the Preds continue on this road trip, which will end tonight in Buffalo, and they'll be returning home for some big home tilts. Emma Lingen is up in Buffalo, where it's not warmer than it is here. Although I don't really know that. It's not like we're in the low 50s. So, Emma, what is the temperature currently in Buffalo?
1 minute, Darren. She'll be on here in a second.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so we're waiting on Emma to join us here coming up. Well, we can tell you now it's 42 degrees there in Buffalo.
So we've got them by about 10 degrees.
About 10 degrees there.
Okay.
Real quick, before we get to Emma, some breaking news from the sports world, and it's a sad note. Knicks legend and Hall of Famer Willis Reed has died. Willis Reed, who helped the Knicks win 2 championships back in the 1970s. He has died. He was 80 years old. Again, that was breaking from ESPN with that just around 5 minutes ago. More like 10 to 20 minutes ago now. Of course, Willis Reed is the guy who's known for making that inspiring return to the floor that everyone talks about in the NBA Finals, and ended up hitting like the first couple of shots, I believe, for the Knicks in that championship game. Didn't finish the game, but gave his team a lift, though, and is credited with that, and helping them win a championship.
Hall of Famer, 2-time NBA champ.
Yeah.
And also known as a gentle giant.
Yes, he did have that reputation, without question, and really sort of a link to the throwback Knicks of the 70s. And sadly for them, the last time they've seen championships there in Madison Square Garden for the Knicks was Willis Reed and company back there. Phil Jackson also on those teams as a bench player back there in the 1970s. But again, Willis Reed, he has died. He was 80 years old.
We are at First Horizon Park. I guess Emma is now with us. Emma Lingen is up in Buffalo, where it is colder, believe it or not, than Nashville. Emma, how are we doing?
You're correct. I'm cold, but I'm doing well.
So I'm going to start in a weird place because I saw this tweet, and it did make me laugh, and I was like, I need more details. Please explain to us what happened while you were eating French fries at Madison Square Garden in New York City on Saturday.
Well, that
or
was
Sunday.
when,
Sorry, Sunday.
The king himself, Henrik Lundqvist, caught me at a very bad time while my mouth was full and said hi to me in the press box at Madison Square Garden, and I could not respond unless I risked a fry or several falling out of my mouth. So that was a humbling moment for me at MSG on Sunday.
Was that like the Saturday Night Live skit where did you hold up your index finger and be like, hey, give me a minute here, I'm chewing? That type of deal. I'm sure you've seen that skit. I mean, what did you do?
Yes.
I mean, did you just cover your mouth, or how did you handle it? Or did you just give a thumbs up?
I kind of gave him a little bit of an up nod, like acknowledging that I saw him, but there was probably a panic-stricken look in my eye, so he was probably not going to stick around for much longer anyway.
So that was the extent of your conversation with Lundqvist.
Yes. It's funny, the very first NHL game that I ever worked in any capacity was back in 2018, and it was Hurricanes versus Rangers, and Lundqvist was actually backing up for the Rangers that night. And so he, in Carolina, the way it's set up, they have their visiting backup goaltender sit in like a little bar stool almost, like across the ice from where the benches are. He's kind of sitting by himself over in the corner, and I was standing next to him for pretty much the entire game, and we were kind of watching the game together on the little TV monitor they have set up for him. So part of me thought like, oh, maybe he remembers that, but probably not.
Well, you just go with whatever version of the story you want to go with. It's your story, you know? If you think he remembered, then he remembered.
Sure.
Well, everybody would like to forget what happened, unfortunately, at MSG. Yeah. It was just one of those games that, let's just say, boy, that escalated in a hurry, to steal a line from Will Ferrell in a movie, in Anchorman. But it just was one of those nights. Look, there's bodies dropping left and right. I do. Part of your job is probably trying to keep up with this roster, right? Who's in and out. It's hard to keep up with who's been called up, who's been sent down, who's in, who's out, what's going on. And I guess the big kaboom was learning that the captain Roman Josi would not be in the lineup, and he's not even on the trip.
Yeah, like you said, sometimes it's with so many moving parts. Sometimes we don't even know until you get on the bus to go to morning skate, and there's a new guy on the bus, and it's like, oh, well, I guess they called up. But yeah, it was when we left to go to New York, it was right after the home game versus Winnipeg on Saturday. And so you're kind of sitting on the plane, kind of trying to peek and see like who's here, who's not here. So obviously it was definitely a little kick in the gut to see that Roman didn't make the trip. But I think at this point everyone is more concerned for his safety and making sure that he doesn't risk his health. And, obviously we all wish he was here. I know the fans certainly wish he was here, but, the focus is going to be on him getting better so he can be back as soon as possible.
I've played that game on the team playing before. It's weird, especially in like the third round of the playoffs, when truly bodies are dropping left and right, and nobody's 100%, and the door shuts, and you're like, I didn't see Mike Fisher, or I didn't see Ryan Johansson. What's going on here? That's a weird feeling. And then you take off, and you're like, okay, I guess there's some bad news coming. That person's not on the trip.
Yeah, that the plane's not going to take off without those guys, by accident. Like, they would for sure leave me behind if I was late, but I don't think they would leave any of those guys behind.
Oh, yeah, that plane, if I was late, they gone. They gone.
Yeah.
just wave at them from the ground. Like, see ya, fellas. Have a safe trip.
So how does this team, which, it's been fun. It'll be even more fun if they can find a way to get into that last playoff spot. And I know Saturday could have gone a long ways if they could have came away with just that extra point. Not been a 3-point game, and it could have come away with the extra point, but it didn't happen. But just watching some of these young guys, get in there and, kind of see what the future looks like or, possibly could look like, has been a lot of fun. It'll be a lot more fun if that youth infusion can turn this into a possible playoff series, right? That would be cool, but we'll see. So how do you think this team is going to approach these, 14 games left, 13 games?
14.
Yeah, like you said, I think it's fun. It's fun to see the younger guys coming in and doing well, and they do bring a new kind of energy to this team, something that, may have been lacking recently. But, one thing that's really stood out to me about the team as a whole is that no one on this team has really given up or kind of thrown their hands up and say, well, it's not our year, which I think, especially for some of the older guys, they could easily have done by now. And they haven't. Everyone is still very much playing to win and to make it to the playoffs, and that is still a very real possibility. And I think that, that starts from the top with the veteran guys, the older guys, and the message that they're kind of, communicating to the rest of the locker room as far as, we're here for one reason. We're playing to win. We're not just playing, to get the young guys in and get them some reps. I mean, yes, that's important, but that's not, they're here to be part of something bigger. They're not just here, as kind of a peek into the future. It's more like, okay, the future is right now. Like, we got to bring these guys, put them in high pressure situations and see what they can do.
Looks like John Hines said they could get some good news with a veteran coming back in the lineup on the blue line, right? Does it look pretty hopeful that Ryan McDonough will return?
Yes. So Ryan is here. He skated with the team this morning, full contact. So can't confirm anything for sure until the start of warm-ups. I think, in that regard, he is more or less a game-time decision, but John did say that it's a good chance that Ryan McDonough will be back in the lineup tonight.
I think what's going to be really interesting about this matchup is you've got the Predators coming off a tough 7-0 loss, which, you don't see games that lopsided in today's game. But ironically, Buffalo is coming off a home loss, 7-0. So both teams coming off a loss, albeit Predators on the road, Buffalo at home. Both teams trying to rebound from a 7-0 loss. That's a weird storyline about tonight.
It is, and I was, when I was writing the preview for today's game, I was, doing my research and looking at the standings and looking at Buffalo's last few games, and I honestly thought maybe I had, by accident, looked at the Predators' stats instead of Buffalo's, because I was like, 7-0 loss on Sunday. It's like, oh, wait, no, they both had a 7-0 loss on Sunday. So It's I think it's, for, obviously can't speak for Buffalo, but definitely for this team, for the Predators, that, no one likes to lose games like that, but unfortunately in such a long season in this league, like, those kinds of games are bound to happen. Like, no matter what the team is or what the talent level is, those, at this point especially, it's, those things are kind of bound to happen. And one thing that John Hines has said a few times about, with this league, with the schedule being what it is, and there are so many games kind of, all together, you really don't have time to get too high on a win or too low on a loss, because you've got another game coming up in a day or two. And so really that's been the focus, especially for these younger guys who maybe haven't had as much NHL experience. A lot of them haven't played a full season in the NHL. That's been kind of the message, is making sure, like, yes, obviously these kinds of losses are, really gut-wrenching, but they're a part of the game at this level. They're bound to happen, so you learn from it, especially, there are lessons you can take away from it, but you got to kind of put it behind you and move on, because just on to the next one.
Emma, before we move on to the next one, I have one more question about what happened against the Rangers, and that is, while the team is moving on to the next game, there's one player in particular who doesn't get to move on right away, and that's Kevin Lankinen, because he does not play every game. He had a very, very rough start to the Rangers game, and of course was replaced. Can you talk to me about how he handles things like this and his confidence level moving forward here?
Well, I have to give Lanky a lot of credit in that regard. I think obviously, like I said, like with those losses, those bad starts, they happen. Like some of the best goaltenders in the world have had awful starts like that too. And, it does happen, and you can't get too down on it. But, something where I give Kevin a lot of credit is that he is, even as you said, since he's not playing every day, he's not the usual starter, he is out on the ice with the goaltending coach, Vanderklok, every day. He works so hard. He is definitely getting his reps in. He's getting his time in. He's usually one of the first guys on and last guys off the ice. So he definitely puts that work in. And so even though maybe he doesn't get as much of the game experience as UC Saros does, he's definitely getting, building his confidence and in his own ability, because he's working on it day in and day out. So that's another one of those things where, obviously you hate to see it, but definitely one rough start in a season where he has performed extremely well. I think that one rough start isn't going to define him for the rest of the season and beyond.
So let's move on to what's next here for the Predators, as they have 14 games left here, and they find themselves 5 points out. And the good news in this, Emma, is that they are also 3 games short of the teams that they are chasing. So they have an incredible opportunity to make up a lot of games here, make up a lot of ground, I should say, if they can come through with W's on some of these games here, because they are short the amount of games that compared to everybody else.
Yeah, having games in hand is huge at this time of year. I think you think back to November, where the flood happened, the water main break at Bridgestone Arena, and now we're kind of thinking, oh, maybe those 2 games that had to get postponed, maybe that was a good thing, because we are in this situation now where we do have games in hand on those other teams. But yeah, it's all about, we have the games, but you got to win them, and it's, you can't look at anything as a guaranteed win or a guaranteed loss. You've got to come out and play. These are, for a lot of these guys, especially the younger guys, this is, these are the most meaningful games they've ever played in the NHL. This is playoff level hockey, because they're fighting to get into the playoffs. And so a lot of it is going to be, there's definitely a chance, like you said, but it's really kind of crunch time where they're going to have to really earn that spot.
Emma, what I like about you especially is your Twitter feed. You know, I'm a follower, Emma. I'm there. I'm looking at your stuff, okay? So one of the things you do is when you get out there to wherever you go, you're a woman about the city, okay? So you're at restaurants and you're at Tim Hortons and you're doing all this stuff here. I see something called Gabriel's Gate here restaurant. So are you eating buffalo wings like right now during the interview here? Emma, like, you are busy here. You really tackled the town.
I try to, especially if it's a place that I've never been before. This is my first time in Buffalo. Gabriel's Gate came recommended highly to me by the man himself, Pete Weber. Mm-hmm. And I think he told me about 17 times that I needed to go to Gabriel's Gate to have the best, that they were the ones, I guess, who perfected the buffalo wing. So I said, all right, well, if Pete says it's good, I got to go. So did that yesterday. And yeah, it's no secret, my love for Tim Hortons. And thankfully here, normally I only get Tim's when we go to Canada, but we're so close to Canada here in Buffalo, and we have a Tim Hortons right next to the hotel. It's, I'm going to be there at least once a day.
Yeah, you're Canada adjacent there in Buffalo for sure. When all this is over, covering hockey, you can start a travel blog yourself because you've been all these places and done all these things. The travel aspect of this, and I know you're into hockey, but the travel aspect of this has had to be very exciting for you.
Yeah, it has. It's definitely a grind, and it can get tiring. But I think that's when, at least for me, I kind of have to remind myself sometimes there are some days where if we have an extra day, an off day in Ottawa, I'm sleeping most of the day, so sometimes you feel like there's this kind of pressure to go out and explore, but you also have to kind of listen to your body and be able to enjoy it, and give yourself the rest that you need. But I think, for the most part, as much as I can be tempted sometimes to be like, I'm so tired, the schedule is terrible, I just want to go home or I want to lay in bed. You have to kind of remind yourself, like, okay, this is pretty cool. I'm getting paid to be here, and to go, as much as maybe I'd want to stay in bed, why not go try some buffalo wings instead? So it's been fun, definitely an adventure.
No doubt, and we'll see who can respond the best tonight. Both teams, certainly Buffalo, they're not out of it. They're teetering, but they're not out of it. So two teams desperate for points. Predators right now 5 points out of that last playoff spot. We'll see how it all plays out, and then some big tilts back at home. A big game Saturday afternoon with Pekka in the house. So it'll be a lot of fun here down the stretch in these final 14 games. Emma, thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right, that is Emma Lincoln up in Buffalo tonight. Preds and Sabres, they'll drop the puck at 6 o'clock this evening. And then the Predators will come home Thursday and Saturday. We just talked about what they do in the minor league baseball. You don't see this much in hockey.
No.
2 games against the same team.
Yeah.
Seattle, not Seattle. Sometimes they've done a home and home, like back-to-backs.
Yes, I've seen that.
Host the Wild, go to Minnesota, play the Wild the next night.
Yeah.
Or St. Louis.
Or Columbus.
Yeah. But Seattle here?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Separated by a John Mayer concert.
Yes, on Friday night, right. Well done. All right, we'll come back. More of the McFarland Show coming up next here on Nashville Sports Radio.
Individual rates, coverage, offerings, and savings may vary, subject to terms and conditions, not available in all areas. Hey, small business owner, when's the last time you checked your workers' comp rate? For many small businesses, workers' comp insurance is one of their biggest costs. But some don't check their rate often. Did you know rates can vary? In fact, taking 3 minutes to check your rate with Pi Insurance could save you up to 30%. Just go to iwantpi.com, share a few details about your business, and get a quote that's customized for you with no hassle or hidden fees. We know you're busy, but spending just a few minutes to check your rate could save you money. Plus, when you sign up for pay-as-you-go billing, your premium is based on your actual payroll, not an estimate. So your workers' comp audit experience is simplified. See how much you could save with Pi Insurance. Ask your agent for Pi or get a quote at iwantpie.com. That's iwantpie.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/JOY.
As a professional realtor in Nashville for more than 40 years, Richard Courtney is one of the city's top-ranked real estate brokers. He's also the author of 2 books and the real estate columnist for the Nashville Ledger. What does all of this mean to you as a home buyer or seller? Expert knowledge, guidance, and trust. Give Richard Courtney a call today at 615-300-8189. That's 615-300-8189 or online at richardcourtney.com.
Five-state forecast.
Your exclusive National Sports Radio WNSR Skyscan forecast. Today we'll have partly sunny skies, a high 60. Cloudy tonight, showers become likely, low 46. Cloudy skies Wednesday with showers likely, the high 64. Much milder for Thursday. Utilizing the resources of the Weatherbug Network on National Sports Radio, I'm WNSR's meteorologist, Jim Rinaldi.
Sports Radio WNSR.
This is the Greg Vogue and John Burton Show.
This was all Greg's idea.
Text messages about a bracket and how we are wimps.
Uh-huh.
Wimps.
I think it's wimp. I think I called you a wimp.
Yeah. Wimp.
I think I called you a wimp. I did.
Because you didn't get your little bracket. So here I am, Pogue. I got my bracket.
Vogue and News Channel 5's John Burton, WNSR. Nashville Sports Radio.
Give us a call, 615-844-5600. The McFarland Show with Darren and Justin.
Here on the McFarland Show, here First Horizon Park, Darren and Justin here with you. Adam Johnson is alongside. Cousin Devlin is back at our Strike and Spare Family Fun Center studio. Typically, you can watch us every day on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Not today.
No.
Not today.
Because we're on the road.
Because we're on the road.
Yeah.
On the road again.
Mm-hmm.
You know who else is on the road?
No.
Joshua Dobbs.
He is. Oh, boy.
That happened after we got off the air
let's get into this, okay?
So, Josh Dobbs, and we're going to have Steve Lehman join us to begin the second hour of the program. We're going to get into all things. Titans are still adding staff members. They swore in some guys yesterday.
Yeah.
And now Josh Dobbs is going to Cleveland, back to Cleveland. Where he came from.
Well, he could have gone back to a lot of places.
Well, that's true.
Because he's been with several teams. But in this case, back to Cleveland is where he's going.
And that's where he was at when the Titans picked him up, right?
That was Detroit. But I don't know.
Maybe you're right. Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think he started in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And
then looped around.
Then when Deshaun came back, I guess then they had to cut him. So maybe you're right. Maybe it was a short stint.
I thought Detroit was his last team before the Titans, but who really knows? Because he's a veteran traveler at this point. I've seen some of the reaction, and, if you want to join us about it, of course you can do so at 615-844-5600. Love to hear from you. But a lot of people felt like he was going to be the guy to replace Malik Willis as the backup on this team. And a lot of people, I think, were disappointed that he didn't get the opportunity to at least to compete, to be the backup on this team. And also, I think, it says something about how the Titans may be feeling about Malik Willis. And I'll say this much about Malik Willis. I think he has a higher upside than Joshua Dobbs does as far as talent is concerned. Have we seen that talent on full display? Well, no, not in the regular season, that's for sure. And it's been flashing in the preseason, even though a lot of it's been done with his legs and not with his arm. It's no secret they want him to throw the football, but this is a team that's also looking for a quarterback of the future. And when I say the future, I don't mean next year. I mean next year and beyond. Is that Joshua Dobbs? Probably not. So if it's not going to be Joshua Dobbs, and I think there was a decision made over there that it's easier to just go ahead and let him go to somewhere where, maybe you can get an opportunity to be the mainstay backup. But I think they really do want to see what they have with Malik Willis, with an offense that is a little bit different than whatever that was that we saw last year, and with another year of seasoning. They knew he was going to be a project, or at least the previous administration knew he was going to be a project when they drafted him. And now that he's here, now that we've seen limited action out of him, or, a couple of games. Listen, honestly, I cannot say that we saw everything Malik Willis could do last year in the offense and the situation that he was in. It was tough for any quarterback, let alone a third-round pick out of Liberty.
Yeah, I don't know what this means. I really don't. Because, remember, we're still trying to figure out the mindset of Ran Carthon. Because we don't. We don't know truly what his thinking is, right? Yeah. Now we've learned that – okay, gotcha. We've learned that Josh Dobbs is not going to be the backup, which, I thought, well, there's a real shot he is the backup next season, because I felt like, do I think Josh Dobbs, anything has changed on the front of how I feel about Josh Dobbs? No, he is a backup and a backup only. He is not an every week starter in the NFL. I think he is great for the spots you could put. If you need him to fill in short bursts, I think you could do a whole lot worse than Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
Malik Willis, I don't know what he is. I just know right now, through the first season, he in the short amount of work that we did see, he was not ready. The stage was too big. The lights were too bright. Does that mean that's the way it's always going to be? No, it doesn't mean that. No. I don't know what he is, because right now it's a big incomplete.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big incomplete, and right now he doesn't look like he's good enough to play in this league. But that can change. I mean, we've seen guys come in and the moment looks too big and they adjust and they're okay, but a lot of times they don't. So I don't know what they have in him. I don't know how they feel about him. Clearly they feel enough to let Josh Dobbs move on.
Yeah. Well, I think he was not going to be the quarterback of the future. I think they're looking for that guy, because at some point they've got to make a decision about whether or not they're going to have to draft a quarterback, a little bit higher in the draft, or whether or not they can sign somebody free agency, or whether or not they need to look for a quarterback at all. They need to make that decision. If Malik Willis is honestly going to be your guy, and if he's already here, then you owe it to yourself to find out. Plus, here's the other thing. We don't know what Ran Carthon thought of Malik Willis prior to him getting here. And he scouted Malik Willis like everybody else.
Yep.
The 49ers picked a quarterback in that draft too.
Yep.
Now, they picked Brock Purdy in the 7th round,
right,
but there's no way in the world they looked at Brock Purdy and didn't look at Malik Willis deeply. Of course they did. So he's got his own opinion of Malik Willis as well, and we don't know what that is.
Let's go to the phone line, 615-844-5600. Let's start with Bicycle Boy. He's first up. Bicycle Boy, what's up?
Hey, Darren, before I get to my question, I have vacated Middle Tennessee and moved over to your favorite part of the country in the Smokies, but fortunately, I can stay connected by listening to you guys. Here's my question. Mark Borowiecki, does he ever come back, or do you think he's calling it a career?
This is, I've weighed in on it. Again, I will just preface this by saying it's just my personal opinion. Just watching him play over the years, watching the sacrifice he's made with his body. He continues to add to his family. He continues to get older, Bicycle Boy. It's just my humble opinion that sadly I kind of just feel like he's going to retire. I think his body has taken enough abuse over the years, and at this age, and like I said, with more additions to his family, I think he may be thinking it's time to spend some time with that very young family and also give his body a break. I know he loves the game. I know he loves the city and this organization. He's an unbelievable person to deal with, Bicycle Boy. He is a media darling, but my opinion, I would be shocked is not strong enough. I would be floored if he came back and played next year. But, I hope I'm wrong, but that's just my gut feeling. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's too bad. I loved his grit and loved watching him play, and but hope the best for him.
Do you have a feeling one way or the other? Why are you asking?
Well, I think I feel like you do, but just with all the injuries and everything, and you don't get anything except upper body, I think it's pretty obvious he's suffering from a concussion. But I've just wondered, what injured players are we ever going to get back?
Yeah, well, I think, honestly, the word is concussions probably because of, again, the fights, blocking shots. This just in, the puck is not Nerf. It's very, very, very hard rubber coming at a high rate of speed, and it feels horrible when it hits your body. And he has taken many, 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 many pucks off his body over the years. And, and as I said, the fights, I think it's just a little too much. At his age, I think he's had an unbelievable career, but I would be really shocked. But again, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't feel like I'm going to be.
Yeah. Thanks, Darren.
Hey, enjoy the Smokies, man. I love that area, that part of town, or that part of our state. Which, are you in North Carolina or Tennessee? I think we lost him.
All right.
I wanted to know. I didn't know if he's in like Asheville.
Yeah, because it makes a difference.
Just right across
it's not all the same thing. Exactly.
Right across the way. He is also a musician. Maybe he's been playing at Harrah's.
Okay. Or at Dollywood.
That's a good point.
There are other
I didn't even think about
there.
that. Yeah. Dollywood.
Concert venues, sure.
Harrah's, the casino.
The
Boy. The casino.
You've been down here a little while.
Man.
Picking that lingo up.
What just happened?
See you down at the casino.
I'll see you at the casino at Harrah's. Let's go to Tony. Tony, what's up?
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, Tony.
I don't know if y'all saw it. I'm not sure y'all talked about it this first hour. Could not hear the beginning of the show and all. But did y'all happen to see the shot fired from one athletic facility to the other athletic facility at Alabama yesterday?
I think we're going to need more details. I'm not sure I know where you're going
Nick
with this.
Saban, 5-star quarterback in Florida, that sign named Tony Mitchell, was arrested last week on charges of marijuana for resale and distribution.
Okay, is this the young man he's suspended?
That he's suspended, yes, sir. Indefinitely.
Driving 141 miles per hour.
Okay.
And Coach Saban, speaks up and says, there is no such thing as anybody being at the wrong place at the wrong time, which was remarks made by Nate Oates with the Brandon Miller situation. And he
I'm
said,
picking up what you're throwing out there. Okay.
Yeah. Huh. And he said every player, everybody has opportunity to make choices. They need to know who they're running with where they're running and what situations they're putting themselves in.
Ooh.
And he said, and I will not be a part of it, and I am suspending his football player because he said until further investigation.
Fight.
Right. It's a fight. It's not going to be much of
So
a fight.
you see what's going on, what's been shut in. When this comes on the heels of Alabama starting preseason practice, I think, this week. So I didn't know if y'all seen that, but I thought that was rather interesting that's come out of down there at Alabama. And one other hire that I did see that was rather interesting.
I wonder how Mr. Oates feels about that.
The SEC is Kirby Smart has hired Daryl Dickey as an offensive analyst, they call it, to go along with Brandon Streeter. And, of course, Daryl Dickey was Jimbo Fisher's offensive coordinator the past 3 or 4 years down at A&M. So I thought that was a rather interesting hire on the front over at Georgia after they lost their, was his name Munkin, to the Ravens?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was just a couple of things I wanted to throw out there today, guys, and thought y'all might want to touch on a little bit. But it's going to be interesting. Anchor down, go Vandy baseball, and go Vandy basketball. They can take care of some major opportunities this week, and just see what they do tomorrow night. And of course, they play Lipscomb tonight out at First Horizon, and then they've got go down and play the Dogs, and they're Mississippi State. So it's going to be fun to see how they handle that. Just wanted to throw it out there, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah. Vandy and Lipscomb right here where we are right now.
Yes.
First Horizon Park.
Coming up a little bit later this afternoon, then, of course, big game between Vandy and UAB on the basketball floor.
Tomorrow.
Coming up tomorrow, a few miles from here.
Yep.
So, we can almost see it from here if it wasn't for a couple of obstructions. We'd probably see down in that area there.
Well, there was a time and a place when you could, but I think our city is
long gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
That's not coming back.
But we are coming back for a second hour. We're going to do that next here on the McFarland Show.
On air and online, Sports Radio WNSR, Brentwood, Nashville.
ABC News, I'm Morgan Norwood. No school today for the more than 420,000 public school students in Los Angeles. Their teachers are taking part in a 3-day picket in solidarity with striking staffers who are demanding a 30% pay raise. President Biden announcing the establishment of 2 new national monuments, one of them at the Kastner Range in Texas.
It tells the story of the tribal nations who lived there and the members of our armed forces who trained in those lands. It's also a place of incredible beauty.
Still no word if former President Donald Trump will be indicted today, as he predicted that he would be.
They're not directly responding because they don't believe they are weaponizing the justice system. They expect the political attacks. They're certainly not unaware of them, but they are trying, they say, to go about their business and follow the facts and the law. That's the refrain that we always hear from Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg.
ABC's Aaron Kotarski outside the courthouse in Manhattan. This is ABC News.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Josh, quote, "After walking around my whole life being a mouth breather, I was excited to try Navage. I read the directions carefully, pressed the button, and oh my gosh, what a sensation. So much mucus, so much crud, but oh sweet, merciful air, I can finally breathe you through my nose. Never have I ever taken such an amazing breath in my life. This is a life changer," unquote. He's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
Fun is in full bloom, Tennessee, and the Multiplier Instant Games are buzzing in. These colorful tickets offer chances to multiply your wins 10, 20, 50, and even 100 times. It's a beautiful day for bigger and bigger prizes, and they're ripe for the picking right now. Find the Multiplier Instant Games today at your nearest Tennessee Lottery retailer, only from the Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
This responsible gaming message is brought to you by the Tennessee Lottery. When you play the lottery, it's important to play responsibly. Know your limit and spend only what you can afford. Set a budget and stick to it. And remember, as long as you're having fun, you're always a winner in our book. The Tennessee Lottery is a proud supporter of National Problem Gambling Awareness Month. To learn more about problem gambling resources, visit tnlottery.com.
Listen, you can't handle the truth. It's about to go off. Live from the WNSR Strike and Spare Studios.
Just a bit outside.
Now back to the McFarland Show with Darren McFarland and Fox 17's Justin McFarland.
Show me the money!
Call now at 615-844-5600.
Oh, righty there.
Now the McFarland Show with Darren and Justin.
We are here, First Horizon Park. This is where we're going to hear a little baseball coming up a little bit later this afternoon, we hope. The Vanderbilt Commodores on the field taking on Lipscomb. That game set for 6 p.m. You can hear it right here on Sports Radio 560 WNSR. This is the McFarland Show. I'm Justin McFarland. My good cousin over here, Darren, is here with us as well, as we get you set for another great hour of sports entertainment here on the radio.
Yeah, it's still cold outside, but it's nice. It's actually warmer than last Tuesday, believe it or not. Let's bring in Steve Lehman from News Channel 5. Now, we can see where he works.
We can.
We're definitely close enough.
Yeah, it's right
in
over
fact,
there.
Steve could have, if it was warmer, could have just walked over here.
He probably could have
done the interview, but again, he may have been in the hot tub. We know that he likes the pool. Today is not a good pool day. Steve, what's going on?
You know, if you guys had told me you were over there earlier, I would have just walked over there. I'd be happy to brave the, 50-degree temperatures today and come see you guys.
You know what, Steve? Do you have any leftovers from last night from what you were eating while you were working? You could have brought some leftovers, some ranch ice cream or something. You guys really look like you enjoyed that.
Oh gosh, no. I definitely didn't enjoy it. The problem was the only words that came to my mind weren't suitable for air. There were a lot of other oohs or like gross from the panel of anchors up there, but everything I was thinking was an FCC violation.
I got to be honest, I was cracking up because here you guys are sampling all this stuff on the air, and most of you look like you're about ready to throw up or spit it out.
We were fortunate, or I should say the custodial crew was fortunate at the end of the show last night that we didn't have an accident. And here's the real thing, Darren. So there were 7 flavors in the line, and I think all of the other 6 were good. They were a little more exotic than getting like cookies and cream and vanilla at your neighborhood Baskin-Robbins or whatever, but they were all pretty good. The ranch was absolutely as disgusting as you think it sounds.
Josh Dobbs going back to Cleveland to be a member of the Browns. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that the Browns needed a backup quarterback, and I think Josh Dobbs, while no one's going to compare him in terms of his resume in the NFL to Deshaun Watson, he brings a somewhat similar skill set to the table. And so I think if you're looking at an offense that you want to design around Deshaun Watson, if you think, hey, we might have a game this year that he goes down and we need somebody to step in immediately or we need somebody to start the next week, Dobbs makes sense in that regard. So that's where I see it. It also tells me that as nice as it was that he came in here and as good of a story as it was and the fact that he almost won the division, it tells me the Titans probably weren't all that interested in keeping him around. The thing I don't know about that, Darren, is what does that say about Malik Willis? Does that say that either Mike Vrabel and or Rand Carthon look at Malik Willis in this offseason and think, what we saw last year, which was not much, is not the full body of what Malik Willis can do, and we think he can come back and be better in year two, and we can ride with him as our backup? Do they somehow feel just completely hamstrung by that pick and whatever salary is afforded to a third-round draft pick, or is there some other plan out there? I can't answer that. But whatever they saw from Josh Dobbs apparently wasn't enough to make them want to keep him around for next year.
Yeah, that's why I left it kind of open-ended. So what's your gut feeling? I mean, do you think they're probably going to, I guess, challenge him for that roster spot, right? They're going to make him earn it? Or do you think that it is what you said of, hey, I know it didn't look great, but, it'll be much better in year two? Well, what's your gut feeling?
I personally don't think it will be much better. I think
I don't either.
Pretty much what Malik Willis is at this point. Now, can he be a little bit better operationally? Maybe, but can he be a really good NFL quarterback? I think we already know the answer there. So I think he's back, probably as your backup, and he will get competition from one or two guys in the offseason. But here's the deal: they don't have the money to go out and spend. Frankly, maybe even on a Josh Dobbs. And so you're going to bring in probably an undrafted free agent, who knows, maybe two undrafted free agents to sit there and try to battle within the locker room and see if one of those guys beats him out. But unless they do something drastic with Ryan Tannehill and free up money there, and all indications at this point is that Tannehill is going to be the quarterback again next year, unless they go the other way from that and free up all the money that comes with it, I think you're looking at Malik Willis likely being the backup quarterback on this team.
Let's play. Let's have a little fun on the radio. It's still very early in this process, but
wait, hold on. You didn't think the ranch ice cream discussion was fun on the radio?
Well, I thought it was going to be a lot of fun last night till I saw it play out, and I was like, I don't think they're having fun.
No, it wasn't fun.
If we were to put together the starting offensive line for the Tennessee Titans today, obviously today is the key part of this, where would you slot everybody today?
That is a good question because, honestly, I think on the roster you don't have 5 legitimate starters at the moment. So that's a real tough one. But based off of what I know at this point, I think Andre Dillard is your left tackle.
Okay.
I think Aaron Brewer slides to center. Daniel Brunskill could play either guard position, but for the moment, based off of my scenario, I'm going to plug him in at right guard, where Nate Davis vacated. And Nicholas Petit-Frere will be your one, quote-unquote, returning starter in his regular spot at right tackle. And then my assumption is that they will draft a guard at maybe 11. Maybe they go into a different spot in the draft, do it in the second round or something like that. But my assumption is they will draft a starting guard to fill in at the 5th spot.
You think they would use the 11th pick in the draft on a guard?
I mean, probably not. But look, if you think you've got an absolute stud there, and maybe he ranks out better than what you'd see at another position, it wouldn't be the craziest pick in the world. But if it truly is a guard, my guess is that would be more like a 2nd or a 3rd round pick. But whoever they're getting, they would plan to plug in there. And I think they probably need to, because I don't think there's enough money to spend any more on a free agent lineman after the 2 guys they've already picked up. And again, from what's on the roster currently, I don't think that's the option. And I do think Brewer is the likely center. So, I mean, he was your left guard last year. I guess there's a scenario where you could keep Brewer at left guard, where I think he's a little bit undersized, and perhaps draft a center maybe even deeper into the draft. But I think the most likely scenario is that Brewer slides to center, Brunskill's at right guard, and you draft somebody to slide in at left guard.
What would you put the percentage of Dillard starting next year, week 1, as your left tackle? What would you put this percentage today at?
Oh gosh, I think it's high. I mean,
you think it's really high? Okay.
Unless I'm just off on this, and that they're going to use the 11th overall pick on a tackle, I think he's your starter. I think that's the whole point. And remember here, now he didn't play out this way, but at least he will tell you that it's because of injuries in Philadelphia. And I don't know exactly what the Titans learned about him in terms of the physical and where he's at, but he was a first-round draft pick, remember. So he was a guy who was slotted as a starting tackle in this league. He has started in this league. So I think the Titans bring him in expecting him to be the starter. But
he's been constantly beat out. That's the part that scares me. He's a first-round picks, as you know, Steve, get the longest leash of anybody, and yet he's constantly been beat out.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I don't think this was a signing that wows you.
Yeah.
That says, oh, gosh, they got the guy who's going to anchor the left side of this line for the next 6 years. He's going to replace Taylor Lewan and be every bit as good as Taylor was in his prime. That's just not what you got here. I think you got a guy who has tremendous upside that if he can stay healthy and stay on the field, could be a really good, affordable signing to help you rebuild this offensive line. But I also think there's a pretty low floor here. And we've seen low floors for linemen, unfortunately, around. So, I mean, look, they could draft at 11 another tackle, and then the question is who's in the bigger or who's in the worst shape at that point? Is it Dillard at left tackle, or is that a thought that maybe NPF didn't do nearly as much as they hoped last year at right tackle, and you try and figure it out that way? Is it all a competition? I don't know. But if you're just asking me based off of what I've seen from what they've done and what's currently on the roster, I think they believe they've kind of handled their tackle situation. They're going to get one more guy on the offensive line, and that's probably going to be what you're looking at going into 2023.
Were you surprised at how it seemed like how emotional he got yesterday?
Yeah, a little bit. That was honestly my question, and I was not expecting him to get as emotional as he did, and he sort of got cut off within his answer that I was hoping he would elaborate a little bit more into what got him there. But he flat out said yesterday, Darren, that he was more emotional and more grateful for this opportunity than he was to get drafted 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And to me, that's telling, I guess just on this fact, is I think he's a guy who loves football and loves to compete. And he had high expectations on him as a first-round draft pick, and frankly, he hasn't lived up to them. All the concerns you're expressing are fair because he didn't live up to them in Philadelphia. But I think he believes that he can still be a really good player in this league. And from what it sounded like yesterday, he got the full belief from the Titans that they also believed that. And the idea that he was in this league and lost his starting job and hadn't played as much as he wanted to and didn't live up to the first-round hype, and somebody else out there looked at him and said, you know what, Andre, we've seen enough from you that if you can be healthy, you can be our guy. That tells me that the Titans do believe in him, and I think that singular thing is probably what got him choked up, that despite not living up to expectations, someone's still giving him that opportunity to make the most of his career here in Tennessee, and I think he's really grateful for that.
What do you make of the of all the Kevin Byard smoke that's out here, Steve?
Justin, I honestly don't know what to make of it because I think there most certainly were conversations with Kevin Byard, and I think Kevin Byard is 100% within his rights to tell Rand Carthon to, go home with his bad self at this point. Because, look, he's done everything you could possibly ask on and off the field for the Titans and for this community. He's taken pay cuts before. He's earned the bag that he got, and it's not his fault that the Titans are in this situation. Frankly, if you want to go retrieve some money from anyone, it should be the quarterback. And I've defended Ryan Tannehill. It's not his fault that he got paid. It's not his fault that the offense around him fell apart and got injured and didn't have an offensive line anymore. But he's got the highest cap hit in the league, basically, this season, and no one believes that's appropriate. Now, a lot of that's dead money, and you can't even recoup it, and I understand that. But this isn't Kevin Byard's fault, and I don't think he should be on the hook for trying to bail the Titans out of what's going on. But it just goes to show the situation they're in trying to piece this roster together. It is hard for me to believe that they would actually part ways with Byard over this contract situation because he is such a leader. He is so important to the team, and I think Mike Vrabel absolutely loves him. And I also think it won't endear them to their fans very much, which they could use at the moment. But it does definitely speak to the fact that they're just strapped for cash. I mean, after getting the Murphy Bunting signing yesterday, do they have money to sign anyone other than their draft picks at this point?
I mean,
and I'm not sure that they do. And that just tells you where they were to start on in this. Because while I like all the guys that they signed, you and Darren know just as well as I do, none of those guys were superstar NFL guys that were like A-plus free agent signings. They're nice pieces. I think some of them have higher upside than what they've done, but they're not break-the-bank free agent winners. They're guys you're hoping take the next step here in Tennessee, and that tells you all you need to know about the cap struggles.
Some people are insulted that the Titans would even ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut or restructure or whatever they asked him to do. I myself am in the camp that I don't think it was wrong of them to ask if that's all they did was ask. And the problem with this, Stephen, you know this just like we do, we don't know the context in which this conversation took place. We don't know if this happened with Kevin himself or through his agent or what the conversations were like or how it was presented. But depending on how all of that went, I myself, with the situation they are in, don't blame them at all for just asking the question. Now, if it went beyond that, then maybe we can talk about it a little bit. But do you blame them for just asking?
No, I don't blame them for asking, especially Rand Carthon, who wasn't a part of the situation in the first place. Having that level of a conversation is okay. And let's be real. If Kevin Byard did give a little money back, he wouldn't be – he'd be rare, I would say, but he wouldn't be the first star NFL player who maybe gives the hometown discount to his team if he thinks that the money he gives back can help put them over the top. Now, if I was Kevin Byard's agent or even just his friend, I would say don't do it because I don't think if you give them back $6 million, that $6 million is the difference between this team winning the Super Bowl next year and not. And that's the only reason you should do it, is if you feel like that little money you would give back is the difference between the one player that puts you over the top to win it all, and I don't think that's where this Titans team is. But, no, I think you can have the conversation, but just like the Titans are within their rights to maybe ask him or broach the subject, he's perfectly within his rights to look at it just the way I did and said, you know what, I don't think we're one player or two players away, and therefore I'm going to keep my money, and you guys do the best you can to put us in a different situation, and maybe we can talk again in a year.
Yeah. The guys they've brought in, they seem to have a bit of a philosophy here, and that's upside. That's the one thing that kept coming to mind after looking at all these players that they brought in. These are all guys who are on their second or third team who have potential but really haven't had a lot of playing time, and they've signed them to short-term contracts, 1 or 2 years in many of the cases here. We had a couple of, I think we had 2 players who were 3-year guys, but most of them were 1 or 2 year players who could demand big money next year, and the incentive is on them at this point, Steve, to go out there and make plays and make it happen for themselves if they want big money from the Titans or from some other team.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, Justin. I think what you have here is a few things in play. One, you have guys, to your point, that for the most part have not been every down players in the NFL, and they all want to be. So they come in with a chip on their shoulder looking to prove themselves. They're on short-term deals, which means they're trying to get their own bag out there in the next contract, whether that be 1 year or 2 years or 3 years from now. But they should be motivated for that as well, not just to prove that they can play every down in the NFL, but to prove they're worthy of a next contract that's even more lucrative for them. And then the other thing for me, as I look at it from the team perspective, is yes, you're hoping all these guys take those next steps. You're hoping you get motivated team-first guys, as we talked about. But the thing that's encouraging to me is Rand Carthon has worked up close and personal with, 3 of the 5 guys? With Arden Key, Aziz Al-Shair, and also with Daniel Brunskill. And so he was a part of bringing them to San Francisco and watching how those guys worked day in and day out with the 49ers. So unlike a draft pick or oftentimes a lot of free agent signings where you're just simply looking at the tape or some workouts or maybe having a conversation with a guy, he's watched these guys for a season or 2 or 3 and seen how they operate day in and day out within the building, and he seemingly saw enough in those guys in those day in and day out interactions to believe that there's a lot more within them that they can bring here to Tennessee and help the Titans out. So to me, if you're looking for something from a Titans fan perspective and think, none of these are A-plus free agency signings, I think that's what you hang your hat on, is if you believe Rand Carthon is a great GM or a guy that can be a great GM and you're excited about that hire, well, be excited about the fact that he's worked closely with these guys and believes bringing them in is a net benefit for the Tennessee Titans.
So wrap this up, Steve. I'm sure you have a perfect bracket. So who do you have winning between Tennessee and FAU in your perfect bracket?
Oh, I've got Tennessee in that one. I actually view it similar to the Louisiana game last week when some people thought, Louisiana could be an upset special against Tennessee. I just don't see it because I think Tennessee is so physical in what they do that Louisiana hadn't seen it. Frankly, Duke hadn't seen it. And Florida Atlantic certainly hasn't. They're a good team. They can score. They've got athletes. But I think Tennessee will be so physical in that game that Florida Atlantic's just not going to want it. I think Tennessee wins pretty easily on Thursday night. The only concern I have, and this is a bit of a concern based off of the media coverage of the last few days, is it was very well publicized through and after the game how Tennessee beat Duke. They were the more physical, tougher team on the court. And everybody talked about it after the game. Some people said it went too far. They crossed the line, and maybe they were dirty. And then after the game on Sunday, when FAU won, Dusty May goes into his post-game press conference and says, how will we get ready for Tennessee? We're going to study Australian rules rugby. And that's just planting a seed out there to the NCAA tournament officials who took some heat for letting things go this past weekend. If they get a directive that you got to clamp down a little bit more and they hear all that talk, I worry that Tennessee could be headed for a game where they foul 43 times on Thursday night, and maybe that keeps Florida Atlantic around or gives the Owls a chance. But if it's called like it was last weekend, I think Tennessee wins easily, and then it's into the Elite Eight, where both Kansas State and Michigan State will be ready for the toughness, and then it's going to come down to whoever shoots well and executes on offense, who cuts down the nets at MSG.
Yeah, I just didn't realize this year. I watched a lot of the Vols games. I just didn't realize Bill Lambier and Dennis Rodman played for Tennessee. I was shocked. But Duke apparently didn't pick up on that in their scouting either. But I think it's amazing they came out of the game acting like they're the 1990 Detroit Pistons. I mean, the bad boys. I mean, jeez.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I'll tell you what, though, the SEC looked really good this weekend, and Arkansas did a little bit of that to Kansas. And while we talk about Alabama and Nate Oates' offensive style, they're physical and get after you as well. There aren't a lot of teams that can match up with some of the athleticism and the physicality of the brand of basketball that's being played in the SEC right now. I think for the most part, the teams that got to the Final 16 can, but Florida Atlantic's not one of them on Thursday.
I like it. All right, good visit as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks
for doing this, and we'll talk next week.
All right, guys, stay warm out there at the ballpark. We'll see you soon.
All right, Steve Lehman, News Channel 5, just across the way from where we are here at First Horizon Park. We're wide open the rest of the hour, 615-844-5600. The Vania boys are here, and they are warming up, getting ready for their tilt tonight against Lipscomb, heard right here on these airwaves. First pitch at 6 o'clock. We'll come back. More of the McFarland Show next.
With 13 locations nationally, including Smyrna, Star Leasing Company is a semi-trailer one-stop shop and the perfect place to build a career as a semi-trailer mechanic. Seeking candidates with all levels of experience, Star Leasing Company has a semi-trailer technician trainee program with sign-on and quarterly bonuses and other opportunities such as $1,000 for having a yearly physical. Package also includes 401k with company match, health, dental, and vision insurance, competitive pay with weekly paychecks, and paid holidays and time off. Star Leasing Company, not your typical semi-trailer leasing company. Visit starleasing.com to learn more.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-529-2856. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-529-2856. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-529-2856. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life, call 800-529-2856.
Realtors abide by a code of ethics. This is Article 9 in action. Beth, a first-time homebuyer, knew nothing about the home buying process, except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Bundling car and renter's insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? Look for the signs. Chances are they live in a home and have a car. They use money and enjoy having more of it. They probably drink lots of lemonade. Lemonade. And they've probably said something suspicious like, "I'm bundling with Geico," or "Stop spying on me with those binoculars." If so, you may want to ask them how easy it was to bundle with Geico. Bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
Hey Nashville, start your day the right way with Bongo Java Cafe, located in the lobby of the Omni Nashville Hotel. Bongo Java is Nashville's oldest local coffee company. Get your day started with a freshly baked muffin and wash it down with a hot cup of dark roast or hair of the dog blend. With free Wi-Fi, you can get some work done while enjoying a toasted breakfast sandwich. Beat the traffic. Treat yourself at Bongo Java Cafe, located in the lobby of the Omni Nashville Hotel, 5th Avenue, downtown Music City.
Hey, join me, Darren McFarland, and Matt Rigsby, who is the Siegel Boys basketball coach at Siegel High School, Monday nights from 6 until 7 o'clock. The show is called Youth Connect. From coaches to players to trainers and everything in between, we discuss what it takes to be a high-level athlete here in Middle Tennessee, to be a high-level coach, to be a high-level trainer, like I said, and everything in between. We'll also discuss the travel ball scene. We'll discuss it all. It's Youth Connect right here, Monday nights starting at 6 o'clock on WNSR.
The McFarland Show, broadcasting live in Rutherford County on 107.9 FM.
Back here on the McFarland Show, 615-844-5600. We're live here at First Horizon Park. Darren and Justin here with you. Wide open the rest of the hour if you want to jump in there and talk with us. Predators in Buffalo tonight to take on the Sabres. That game will have a puck drop at 6 o'clock. Then they'll be home on Thursday night to take on the Seattle Kraken. 14 games remaining in the regular season. We had a good conversation with Emma Lingen earlier in the show, who was up in Buffalo covering that game. So we'll see how that plays out. Vanderbilt and Lipscomb baseball here tonight at 6 o'clock, heard here on these airwaves. You've got Vanderbilt and UAB in the third round of the NIT tomorrow night at Memorial Gym.
No matter what, the last home game for Vandy.
That is correct.
Tomorrow.
That is correct.
They're asking for a whiteout out there.
So we'll see if they can defeat Andy Kennedy and the UAB Blazers. NCAA tournament will get back going Thursday evening. Of course, the Vols will have that, 8 o'clock-ish tip our time from Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And Steve Lehman said he likes the Vols pretty easy. I don't know about that because
I don't
FAU's won 33 games in the regular season. Now, 35 games this year, and they're a really good team. They're a really good team, and so I don't know. I think this one's going to be tight.
Well, not only that, the Vols have been very inconsistent throughout the year. Now, they've played well as of late, but this is also a team that lost quite a few games down the stretch of the season. So it's not like they're coming in the door, just playing lights out. They've done okay, and, they've won the first couple of games, which is what they're supposed to do. But I don't know how they're just guaranteed to blow FAU out of the water tomorrow over there or Thursday at Madison Square Garden. I just don't. I don't see that myself. Now, listen, if they surprise me, then great. And then on to the Elite Eight. But, I think, you're going to get FAU's best punch. And I don't think they've come all the way this far to only go this far. I don't think FAU is a team that's just happy to be here. I don't, they don't strike me as such. So.
Well, that was their first 2 wins in school history, I believe.
Yeah.
In the NCAA tournament.
But okay, so now you're playing with a team that to me makes me more dangerous because they don't know any better.
No, I agree.
They don't know where they are.
I didn't say that was a stat to throw out there to say, oh, they won't. Yeah, they're satisfied. I'm saying they may be on that magical run. We've seen that magical run happen many, many times, right? And we've seen teams take that magical run all the way to the Final Four.
Sometimes being naive at this stage is the best thing.
Loyola Chicago.
Yeah.
Right? Sister Jean.
Mm-hmm.
That was Loyola Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had them. You had George Mason.
Yeah.
Larinaga took George Mason to the Final Four. I mean, we've seen these. Butler has gone there. I mean, we've seen this team. I guess the point being is this team is capable of making that run to the Final Four. They absolutely are. We should not be surprised if FAU gets to the Final Four. In the same breath, we also shouldn't be surprised if this Tennessee team, because how wide open this bracket is now.
Yeah,
the bracket is wide open.
Yeah,
Tennessee right now is the favorite.
Yeah, no, I
by
agree.
the odds makers.
Yes, to come out of there.
To come out of it.
And the question to me of this entire tournament is how tight has college basketball become? And when I say tight, I mean with parity. As far as the teams just not being that far apart. We haven't even seen the massive blowouts that we normally see. Normally somebody comes out in the first round and beats somebody by, 30 or 40 points. I haven't seen that game.
Well,
I've seen a couple of 20-point games, but
there was a couple, but you're right. I mean, but I think what was mind-blowing to me is there hasn't been an overtime game yet. Like, I can't believe all these games, no overtime game. Usually you would expect that to happen, especially with a lot of, there's been a lot of 1 and 2 point games. In fact, FAU beat Memphis by a point. That game could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see how that goes on Thursday night. We'll try to. John Burton, who works with Steve at News Channel 5. I know he is up there covering that. He was not on the show this morning with Greg. He is making his way to the Big Apple, so we'll get a little preview from him
an area he
as
knows
well. Yeah, no doubt. Let's go to Frank in Smyrna, listening on 107.9 in Smyrna. Frank, what's going on?
Hey, Darren. Hi, Justin. How you guys?
Doing fantastic.
Good, Frank.
Good to hear. Yeah, I've been made my way back to Tennessee for a few days, so I had to get my Predators fix, and for Thursday night, and I got to say, I've been one of their probably more vocal critics on everything this year, but I do like the direction overall that they appear to be headed. I mean, this team's not going to the playoffs. We know that, and it's okay. It's okay this year. I at least see a plan. And I want to just publicly compliment everything they've done, bringing back Barry Trotz. I like what I see. I really do.
Let's stop. Let's pause here, okay? We can take this in layers. So when you say they're not a playoff team that we know, well, we don't know that yet. I suspect that it's probably the mountain is going to be at 5 points is not, with 14 games to go, is not out of the realm of possibility at all. But I suspect, Frank, in the end, you'll probably be right. Why do you say they're not going to the playoffs?
Well, it's just okay. First of all, they're having trouble scoring goals.
Well, that's been all year.
and that's been all year.
Yeah.
Second of all, what happened in New York the other night? I mean, it's just there's nothing. I mean, that happens. There's going to be nights you just don't have it.
Yeah, but, I'm not going to judge the rest of the way off that game.
And they've got other teams ahead of them. And I saw Winnipeg play down in Tampa last weekend. My wife and I went to that game and Tampa, and they looked just awfully tough. I just think they dug themselves too big a hole. The teams in front of them, I just don't think are going to – I mean, I guess anything's possible. We're seeing this with the NCAA tournament. I mean, yeah, anything could happen. I mean, are they out of it? No. But I'm just realistic.
Okay, that's fair.
I just want to –
okay, but so the next layer is you said you see – a clear plan. What is the clear plan?
That's what I want to know, Frank.
Well, we've made some trades. We're playing some younger players. Are those the future? I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah, I don't know either.
The right word. Maybe clear plan isn't the right word, guys.
Okay.
But I at least see, okay, they're going to take a look at evaluate the roster, see what we got. What changes need to be made in the off season? Because I think there's going to be changes, and I'm not going to get into what I don't.
Well, you have as many draft picks as they have, Frank. There has to be changes. You can't have that many draft picks and I have serious changes to the roster.
Oh goodness, yes, and I know the biggest question, and you know, yes, I was that fan in Tampa last weekend that wearing a Prince hat and a warm-up jacket, and I had more people come up to me and said, "How in the world did your GM pull that trade off with us to get all those draft picks? What in the world did he do?" And I said, "I don't know." I told him maybe they took your GM and your coach out and got him drunk up here in Nashville. I don't know what. I said, guys, I don't know. The fact that Janot was traded didn't surprise me. What we got and how much we got, that did surprise me. So
it was an offer they could not refuse. I don't think they wanted to get rid of him, but they couldn't say no, right?
Well, right, and that's what I told several fans in Tampa. I said, I think the Lightning made David Boyle an offer he just could not say no to, which I don't blame him. I would have as well. And just real quick, I have seen a couple of spring training games while I've been in Florida, Darren. I know you're just dying to know and get an Atlanta Braves report, aren't you? I know you're just dying to know.
Well, I just want to know, were you at the game that ended abruptly on the new rule, the 8-second
rule?
I
was not because I could not get a ticket at a reasonable price. When it involves the Red Sox and Yankees, those spring trading tickets are absolutely absurd.
Okay,
I'm not paying $75 for a spring trading game. I'm sorry. I love baseball. I don't love it that much. And so, no, I saw him play the Orioles in Sarasota, and I did see him play the Red Sox at Northport a couple weeks ago. The pitch clock, it's interesting. You know, I'm still trying to make sense. The bases. Oh, yeah, they're bigger. There's no doubt about that. They're bigger. Will that make a difference? I don't know. It's too early to know. The Braves look good. They look good.
What about their move at shortstop? I am really surprised right now.
Surprised. I got that news when I was getting on the airplane yesterday to fly back up here to Nashville. I was really surprised. I thought Grissom looked really good out there the two games I saw him. Yeah. I don't, unless they just think that he needs. Well, obviously they must know something we don't, or and, you know, Sticker and Ron Washington forgot more baseball than we're ever going to know. So I mean, but it did surprise me that Orlando Marcy he's always been really good, but he's Is he an everyday player? I don't know.
Well, I think we all can agree it's temporary. I guess I'm just surprised
for sure.
that happened, you know?
I was too. That did, and I think most Braves fans are surprised by that. It did certainly. I thought they would at least give Grissom a shot to start the season and see if he was ready. It could maybe it could have turned out he wasn't ready. I mean, that happened a couple of years ago with a player they thought was ready to play every day in the outfield, and I cannot think of it. Oh, Christian Pache. Yeah, he wasn't ready to play. It turned out he wasn't ready. So who knows? And you guys go to the Vandy game tomorrow night. I will be there.
Awesome. All right. That is awesome. I've got to actually do Smashville Live out in Bellevue, so Predators Players Show. So I hate that I'll miss it.
Yeah, the tickets are reasonably priced. When I knew I was going to be back in town this week and that they had a home game, my wife said, I suspect you're going to end up at Memorial Gym. I said, yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I said, I said, unlike a lot of other teams, Vandy could have took their ball and went home after the NCAA tournament committee left them out. They chose to keep playing, and honestly, I think they're going to get it done. I think you may have two teams from this state in the Final Four, maybe.
That would be awesome. Hey, do us a favor. Call us on Thursday and tell us what it was like.
Yeah, I sure will. I'm looking forward to it. It looks like they've had a pretty good pre-sale of tickets from what I saw yesterday. What I tell, I think there'll be a good crowd. But I certainly will, guys. I'll call it Thursday and let you know.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. Appreciate it.
Guys, good talking to you again. Take care.
Good talking to you. We'll take a break. Yeah. We'll come back. More of the McFarland Show here from First Horizon Park on WNSR.
Are you tired of your current vehicle? Maybe looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle? Hey guys, it's Zach. Hayes Nissan of Rivergate is the best choice for your vehicle needs. Located at 1550 Gallatin Pike North in Madison, Hayes Nissan of Rivergate has been serving the Middle Tennessee community for over 3 decades. That gives you confidence that Hayes Nissan of Rivergate can find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle and your budget. Their friendly and knowledgeable staff will make sure you are taken care of. I should know because I've seen it firsthand. Every vehicle I've purchased has been from Hayes Nissan of Rivergate, and I love the entire process. Now, I don't want you to forget about their award-winning parts and service department. It has everything you need to get you back on the road. Go visit them on the web at nissanofrivergate.com. They're open there 24/7, 365 days a year. Or give them a call at 615-865-7220. Again, that number is 615-865-7220. That's Hayes Nissan of Rivergate, where your dollar always goes farther.
Timeout.
All right. Remember, we're a team that plays together. Listen, the winning will take care of itself. We just have to get everyone involved.
In interscholastic sports, we celebrate what makes every one of us unique. And in the pursuit of a common goal, everyone in the huddle, in the bleachers, and in the community comes together. This message presented by the TSSAA and the Tennessee Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Bundling home and car insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? They may drop little hints like,
beautiful day out. Even more beautiful since we saved by bundling our home and car insurance with Geico.
Or,
yard work is hard. Much harder than bundling with Geico, which was easy.
Or it may be even subtler, like,
speaking of burgers, we bundled our home and car insurance with Geico and saved a bunch of money.
Bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
In uncertain times, you can be certain of this. The Salvation Army is serving those most in need with help and hope. Thanks to your donations, the Salvation Army is helping those affected by COVID-19, those who've lost wages, who have no home to retreat to, who need food, help with utilities, and most of all, hope. To see how you can continue to make a difference, visit GiveWestwood.org. GiveWestwood.org.
There's a weekend in July where the baseball world revolves around a village in upstate New York. Baseball Hall of Fame induction weekend in Cooperstown is an unforgettable experience filled with family-friendly activities and priceless moments. Make your plans today for July 21st through the 24th for the induction of Fred McGriff and Scott Rowland as the class of 2023. Visit baseballhall.org today for the entire schedule. See you in Cooperstown, where the journey becomes legend.
The Jim Rome Show.
There are still things that are Triple U, including people who take pictures and then crop them and use them as their biopics. There's got to be another picture of you. You cannot take a picture with somebody else and then X that person out of the picture, crop them out, and leave yourself in, and then have it all off-centered, or maybe have somebody's claw still on your shoulder, or part of their ear still in the picture.
The Jim Rome Show, weekdays from 11 to 2 on Nashville Sports Radio. You're listening to The McFarland Show live on WNSR Nashville Sports Radio.
Back here on The McFarland Show, Darren and Justin here with you live at First Horizon Park. It is with great sadness, Justin, that I learned this morning, and I was just absolutely dumbfounded when I read this story. Longtime district attorney for Williamson County passed away, I guess yesterday, but like I said, I just learned of this morning reading it, and her name was Kim Helper. And the reason I'm just saddened and devastated by this news is that is the wife of Jerry Helper, who has been on the show with us, longtime Predators employee. He's been with the Predators since day one. Jerry Helper is literally, if they ever do a documentary on the Predators organization, he will be a part of the documentary because he knows where everything is buried. I mean, he's the reason, he's the one who suggested to bring in Pete Weber and Terry Crisp. And, I mean, he's had his tentacles all over a lot of things in the Predators organization, spending 24 years there, just recently retired. He's been on the show, like I said, with us, and they've got 2 daughters, and Kim Helper passed away yesterday. Like I said, longtime district attorney for Williamson County, and I'm just absolutely floored by this, and our thoughts and prayers are with the Helper family.
Without question. Took that position in Williamson County back in August of 2008, and she did 2 terms, 2008 and 2014, as the district attorney there in Williamson County, and in their case, the 21st district here in the state of Tennessee, is that's how they count it. And so certainly our condolences to the family and anyone else who knew her and had their life touched by her while she was here. So I know the hearts will be heavy in that community for some time as they deal with that loss.
Yeah, tough.
Very, very difficult.
Very, very difficult. So you heard Frank asking about the Predators.
Yeah, and I had a question for you about the Predators as well, as someone who is very steeped in their history and tradition. Earlier today, they buried a time capsule down there at 501 Broadway, and it won't be unsealed for another 35 years. It's all to honor Pekka Rinne, the longtime goaltender for the Nashville Predators. They've also announced that a statue of Pekka will be going up there at Bridgestone Arena. My question for you, Darren McFarland, is...
That'll be all around their game Saturday afternoon against Seattle.
Very good. Yeah, well, one of 2 games against Seattle, but the Saturday version. So make sure you catch the right one if that's what you're going for. My question for you is this too much for Pekka, considering what he has done here in this community? Is this overblown, since he is the very first Predators bona fide superstar that was theirs and only theirs? Or is this appropriate for his legacy?
I have admitted this and said this many times on the air, so I'll just repeat for all those who have not heard this speech
so
before.
Give it to me.
I was going to say, you are in that category. I am being perfectly honest, Justin. I am not. We used to do a segment at a previous stop called "Don't Be That Guy."
Okay.
And I'm not that guy that wants everybody's. I'm not really on board with retirement of numbers. retirement of jerseys.
Retirement of numbers is one thing.
Statues.
This is a whole other level.
No, I'm just not a big, I don't really understand the whole retirement of numbers personally, but this is a statue. And so I guess what I'm getting at is I'm not really in that camp, but I have said if I'm in that camp, I'm okay with it being Pecorine, the camp that I'm in for a statue. I'm not one that's out there always going, yeah, give him a statue, and you get a statue, and you get a statue, or you get your number retired, you get your number retired. Like, I'm not really that guy. But in this case, for Pecorine, a guy that has meant so much to this organization and is a Hall of Fame human being, he'll probably just be a borderline Hall of Fame player. I don't think he'll eventually get in. I hope he does.
Sure.
But I think he's he's the Eddie George of hockey.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be right on the outside looking in, even though I believe Eddie George belongs in. I believe Derek Mason belongs in. I don't believe either one of them are going to get into Canton.
No, they're not.
But I think they're right there at the doorstep, and I think Pecorine is too.
Yeah.
And I just don't think he's going to get in as well. But he meant so much to this organization and did it the right way. And like you said, his entire career spent here, and so many memories made with Pecorine in net. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, getting to know him over the years and know what he's all about and the way he's treated people and the things that he's done in the community and the things he's done for this organization. I mean, you'll never hear me say, I think, why does he deserve a statue? You'll just never hear me say that. And I am not, I say that, I preface it to say, because I'm not that, I don't believe in all that stuff. Like, I'm just not a big,
you're not a statue
not
guy.
believe, I'm not a big fan of it.
You're not a statue guy.
Yeah, I'm
you
just
don't
really
know
not
about
like
the whole
hey,
statue thing and,
but
and all of that.
In this case, I'm on board.
In this case, you're on board. So this is kind of where I'm going with this, because this is, we talk about it all the time here on the show about Nashville's growth and maturity as a sports town and a professional sports town. And this is part of that growth here. The fact that we get icons who now get, statues and, jerseys in the rafters and all of that. It's a history. It becomes part of our history. Now, we've never done this before. We've never gone the statue route, at least not here in Nashville. Now, there's some statues, I understand, over in Knoxville, but, the time I visited out there, I didn't get a chance to actually see all of that. My only thing is this. To my knowledge, we don't have statues over at Vandy. We don't have statues, outside of Nissan Stadium. And we didn't have statues, outside of Bridgestone Arena. And if he is going to be the first to get that honor, the first sports icon in the history of Nashville to get a statue is not Eddie George. It is not Steve McNair. It is Pekka. And again, I've got no problem with it if that's what it is. But when you do something like that, you're putting them up against all the other great icons of the sports world here. That Pat Summitt doesn't have a statue. Not here in town. I know she didn't coach here, but we don't have streets named after her or anything like that. To my knowledge, we don't. There's a lot of things we.
Well, they do
don't have
all. They do all that stuff in the proper place.
Yeah,
that's in the Knoxville market.
In Knoxville, and rightfully so. I'm just, and Pat Summitt was a bad example. Forgive me for that. I'm just saying that if we're going to start doing this, I just wonder where the bar is. And we're getting ready to build a brand new $2.1 billion stadium not too far from here that will have a place for history for the Tennessee Titans. And I'm just wondering, okay, if Pekka is the bar, how many other Nashvillians, how many other pro players have reached that bar, or where is that bar in order for them to get there? Is Derrick Henry getting a statue outside of whatever the dome will be called at some point in the future? I just wonder, because we have not done this. We're not the Yankees. We don't have a garden and with home plates and all that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm having an intellectual conversation or argument with myself over this issue. I am undecided. I am exploring it even as we speak. My feelings are very mixed about it because I really don't know. I don't know if Derek Mason gets a statue. I don't know if Frank Wycheck gets a statue. I don't know.
Well, okay, so let's start.
And I know those are different people. I understand.
Let's start with Pekka. Pekka's the most popular player to ever suit up and put a Predators uniform on.
I'm not going to dispute that.
In 25 years.
I can't dispute that.
Okay. Shea Weber is probably 2.
Okay.
And I would say Roman Josi maybe 3. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, we could have all that.
Yeah,
but the point of this is Pekka's 1.
It depends on the era, too. But
okay,
yeah.
Pekka's 1.
Okay.
Okay, so there's no disputing that.
No.
And so if you're going to start with a statue, something you've never done, you probably should start with the one who's the most popular player of all time in your organization's history.
Okay.
That's what they've done. In my opinion, just because I've played this game, certainly we played these games in COVID. Okay, we learned a lot about this market during COVID times when there was no sports on, and this is what we did. We put up polls and we did brackets, and you had to get creative on the air every day because there was no physical sports product to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, and when we did who is the most popular Titans player of all time, it was pretty loud and pretty clear. Who do you think it was?
Most popular Titan of all time?
Yeah.
Here locally?
Yeah.
Eddie George.
Yeah, it's Eddie George.
Yeah.
Now, if they were going to do that, in my opinion, again, I think you start at the top. You start at who's the number one most popular player to ever suit up for your organization. So if the Titans were going to go down that road, in my opinion, they should do it with Eddie George. To me, it's kind of hands down.
Yeah.
And he's still here.
He is.
And he's still prominent.
Very.
And he's still doing things with your organization.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's really a no-brainer.
Yes.
Would you have a problem if they announced that for the new stadium?
To me, they can't do Eddie without doing Steve. To me, they're synonymous.
I don't have a problem with that, but I'm saying if you started with 1, to me, it has to start with 27.
I got you. For me, they're together. In my mind, as a player and as a legacy, they are joined at the hip.
Okay.
In my opinion.
I don't have a problem with that.
So if you're going to do 27, you got to do number 9.
Okay.
And and I don't know how that looks, but to me, to have 27 out there by himself, I can't be down with that. Not without number 9. To me, in my opinion. But, listen, it is worth thinking about and talking about. When I see these images that I've just seen on Twitter, where they're burying time capsules and talking about, statues, my mind can't help but to go to this place that this market and us as a fan base has never been before. We have never been here.
Well, we're about to be there.
Yeah.
Starting Saturday.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt taking batting Vandy taking batting practice right now. Lipscomb is here as well.
Tim
Vanderbilt.
Corbin get a statue.
Yeah. There's a great one, right? That's a great question for another day. Vanderbilt Lipscomb tonight at 6 o'clock. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We look forward to talking to you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. See you then.